Now, it's kind of amazing when you talk about the 1990s and that trophy, you're talking about the Big Red Machine. When you've said Budweiser, you've just about said it all. But it's kind of surprising because in this one of the most competitive seasons ever for the Unlimited Hydroplane Racing Association, the Miss Budweiser is winless, Jim Hendrick.
To find a worse start for the Budweiser racing team, we have to go back to the year of 1988. That year, they lost the first 4 races, but came on to win 4 of the last 5 and have a very successful season. They hope that history will repeat itself. Checking the O'Doul's High Point Championship race, the Pico American Dream in first place by 576 points over second place Miss Budweiser. Smokin' Joe's is third.
On the Miss Budweiser for a moment, this is the 3rd straight race that Mark Evans finds himself subbing for Chip Hanauer, who is still on leave from his driving duties in the Red Rocket. Evans made his debut driving Miss Budweiser at this race last year, and in the finals while leading, he saw the hull come apart, and with it, a 5-year win streak.
Here's the qualification ladder for this race. Smokin' Joe's the fastest at 160.3. Pico American Dream a mile an hour off the pace. Miss Budweiser rounds out the top 3.
Well, this is the safety crew kind of cooling off before the heat of the day in Heat 1A. Let's check in with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Steve Montgomery, on the course.
The front straightaway here in Evansville, guys, is in fact not a straightaway. It's a big, sweeping, gradual turn from exit pin to entrance pin. It does affect the performance of the hydroplane slightly. On the back straightaway, you'll see a long, low rooster tail as the boat is at full song. On the front straightaway, the driver is turning the entire time. It's a unique situation found only here in Evansville.
Checking the lineup for Heat 1A, Miss Budweiser catching a break, and Smokin' Joe and Pico American Dream go head-to-head. Art Construction, Master Tire, and Bustler Enterprises rounds out the field here in Heat 1A.
As they come up to the start line, let's see if they get the flag, and they do. We're off in Heat 1A. Right off the bat, we've got a battle in lanes 1 and 2. The yellow boat looking down from the Labatt eye in the sky is the Smokin' Joe's. Right to his right is the blue and white boat of the Pico American Dream. So right off the bat, we have a face-off and a duel with Mark Tate in the Smokin' Joe's and Dave Vilwalk in Pico American Dream.
Take a look at the back chute now. You see the blue boat getting a slight edge down the straightaway. But remember, the boat on the right has the shorter way around the course, and watch how they even up when they hit this turn in corner number 3.
The advantage to the outside boat would be speed. He can maintain the speed because he's not turning as sharply. But as you can see, Smokin' Joe's manages to take the lead back. But here comes Vilwalk again. Look from inside the Smokin' Joe's. He's got a clear course ahead of him. It looks like a good run, but they've got to be very, very careful on this course in this turn. This is where the water roughens up, and it comes back off of the bank that you see in the picture there. As they go down the back chute, it takes approximately a quarter of the chute for things to smooth down again.
Our Zodiac lap speed for lap number 1 for Smokin' Joe's, 149 mile an hour, Dick.
As you look at our aerial shot, you can see Bustler Enterprises is going off of the course out of turn number 1. He's going over by the pleasure boats, getting out of the way of the race boats. Meanwhile, the battle continues on the front straightaway here. Now, the front straightaway, that's a little misleading. It is the front straightaway, but it's also a little bit of a dog leg, so they have to maneuver the boats around. Smokin' Joe's still leading. There you see the difference between the Smokin' Joe's and the blue boat, which is Pico's American Dream. A good ride for Mark Tate. He's got a good ride going over some very rough water. As you can see there, the waves breaking around the Pico American Dream. Here's a great shot out of the cockpit of the Smokin' Joe's. Now he's going to be looking as he comes around the final turn for the checkered flag. He's had a good run, 2nd place to the Pico American Dream. All they have to do is take him across the finish line.
Remember, in the O'Doul High Point Championship running, it's 400 points for a first place finish, 300 for a second, 225 for a third, and so on. And a 400-point finish is coming up for this boat, the Smokin' Joe.
Great way to start the day. The winner of Heat 1A, Mark Tate out of Canton, Michigan, taking the win for the Smokin' Joe's team. 2nd place goes out to Pico American Dream, Dave Vilwalk and his crew, Steve David and the Art Construction boat. They've got a great day going for Jim Harvey and crew.
Here's our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard. 400 for Smokin' Joe, 300 for Pico American Dream, and so on down the line as we look at our order of finish for 1A.
Coverage of the Pontiac Thunder on the Ohio and Unlimited Hydroplane Tour is sponsored by Las Vegas, open 24 hours. We'll be back to talk with our winner when we come back in a moment. Welcome back to Evansville, Indiana, the Ohio River, and it is down to the pits to talk with the winner of our first race of the day.
Mark, David ran a hot first lap on you. Did he surprise you at all?
No, not really. I mean, they've been running good all weekend. They ran some real good laps this morning, and, you know, it looked like the advantage was probably the inside lane there.
You'll probably have to go outside next time now. Will that be any problem?
Well, it depends on who gets inside of us, but, you know, right now I'm very proud of the Camel Power Smokin' Joe team. They gave me a great boat, and we got one heat win. We picked up 100 points in the championship, and that's what we're here to do.
Well, coming into Heat 1B, all eyes are on the Miss Budweiser as they unveil a brand new boat trying to get that first win of the season. Steve Montgomery talked to crew chief Ron Brown.
Ron Brown, you decided this morning to run your brand new boat. Tell us why.
Well, Steve, actually, we've been fighting a little bit of a fuel problem here with this fuel restrictor, and both boats were within about a mile an hour of each other, so it really doesn't make any difference right now which hull we run, but we'd like to start concentrating on the new boat, and the only way you can concentrate on a boat these days is to go out there and actually race it in the rough water and get it in racing conditions. So it's just kind of a plan that we need to start working on our new boat.
A little baptism of fire, if you will. Well, it was Ken Muscatel's target boat that caused the biggest stir of the day on the warm-up lap. Watch what happens. He cuts in big time on Mike Jones in the Miss X-side. Miss X-side, as you look down from the Labatt Eye in the Sky to the right of your screen. Now the two boats come together, the one veering far out. Miss X-side literally bounces off and goes off toward the spectator fleet on the Kentucky shoreline. There's damage to both boats. The most severe damage appears to be to the Miss X-side as you look at the side of the boat on the sponson. That is all going to have to be replaced there. We talked to Ken Muscatel to find out what happened.
I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed right now. I must have lost sight of Mike Jones because we took a bad hop out there, and before the start, I think the boat skidded out. But I would have hoped he'd been in front of me so I could see him. It's kind of hard. You lose sight of it, but that's the way it goes.
Well, you got two drivers, you've got two boats, so as you might imagine, Mike Jones, he had a little different view of how things occurred.
Well, yeah, we had a little collision out there. I was kind of wandering around in lane 16 trying to show the spectators the Miss X-side, and I think Ken just was a little hot in that turn, and maybe the boat unhooked on him, and he slid out and T-boned me.
Well, as far as the race went, watch the start on the inside by Miss Budweiser as he opens up a commanding lead. Miss Budweiser, of course, holds a record on this course, Jim, so it was a good run, and he got a perfect start.
Not only a speed record, Dick, but 5 straight years the Miss Budweiser team has won here on the Ohio River in Evansville until last year when the Smokin' Joes with Mark Tate took over, and they are the defending champions for this event.
Part of the trick in unlimited hydroplane racing is a good start, and if you can get one of those, you have an advantage over the team. You see from the tail of the Miss Budweiser, and that's a neat shot. I love to watch it as that water comes streaking off of the bottom of the boat. There, as you look down from our aerial shot in the Labatt Eye in the Sky, you can see the rest of the field. DeWalt Tools now running in second place on the course.
This Heat 1B, the baptism of fire for a brand new turbine, Miss Budweiser, first time in competition. And of course, you know, Bernie Little, Ron Brown, Dewey, everybody watching that boat, see how it rides for the very first time in competition waters.
And they'll be interested in the Zodiac lap speed of 142 miles per hour in water that would be considered moderately rough. Another boat that handled very well in the rough water was the DeWalt Tools boat of Mike Hansen, who actually suffered some rib injuries, but he's driving the boat today anyway. Miss Budweiser took the 400 points for first. DeWalt Tools came in second, followed by the Miss Wellborn. The Target Stores gets 127 with a penalty.
Bernie, you've christened a few new boats in your time. This one looks pretty good.
Yeah, I want to get a can of Budweiser and bust it over the nose here. That's his first Eastern competition with a brand new Miss Budweiser, so we got high hopes for him this afternoon.
So far, so good. We got first place with it, so I'm happy. We got through the race good, and now we're on to the next heats.
Little wind in your face on the front side here.
It did. The wind had switched just before we went out, so going into the turn, it's really rough. So the rest of the day is going to be something if this wind keeps up like it is.
Well, another guy that'll be concerned with the wind is just down the pits. Dave Vilwalk heading to his boat for Heat 2A. We'll be back in a moment. Back in Evansville, Indiana, Steve Woomer, owner of Smokin' Joe's. He's got himself one smokin' boat, a pretty good driver, and a heck of a good crew chief, Jim Lucero, who takes us through this week's Rancho Performance Corner.
unlimited hydroplanes last a long time. The 1996 Smoke and Joe unlimited hydroplane was actually built in 1986, but what you see here is virtually a brand new race boat. The crew worked very hard over the winter of 95 to 96, and all that's really left of the boat is the area right underneath the canopy and the cowling where the engine sits. From there on, we pulled the non-trips off, the air traps off, the sponsons off, and the main spar out, as well as the cockpit. During that time, we worked very hard at reconfiguring the boat and putting fresh materials in. So what we have in 1996 is a very solid, stable, improved Smoke and Joe unlimited hydroplane.
And those changes over the winter appear to have worked. This boat is running much better than it did at the end of last season. Now, you want to talk about an old boat. How about Ken Muscatel's Target Stores hull? He's having some problems following that incident in 1B, but it appears he may not be able to make it to Heat 2A. Talk about history, though. Jim Lucero was once the crew chief on this boat. Chip Hanauer drove this boat in 1982 when it was the Atlas Van Lines boat owned by Fran Muncy. In 1986, it was the Oh Boy Oberto boat owned by Jim Harvey, who converted it to turbines. Mark Tate has driven this boat. Steve David has also driven it when it was the T-Plus in 1989. Then it sat in Seattle for the past couple of seasons. Ken Muscatel has brought it and is working the bugs out.
As they come down for the start of Heat 2A, the Target Stores with Ken Muscatel does not make an appearance. We have DeWalt Tools, Pico American Dream, Budweiser, and Smoke and Joe's on the outside. All the fast ones in this one, Dick.
That's because of the inverted feature that they run in the second heats here at Unlimited Hydroplane Racing. So watch the three boats on the outside. We come down for the start, and there it is. Right off the bat, Pico American Dream looked like he'd had a slight advantage on the start. We look down from our Labatt eye in the sky, and you can see Smoke and Joe's has evened them up on the outside. Now Pico takes it through the turn. Now remember, it's the rough water coming out of that turn they have to be very careful of. It'll be smooth the first time around. Dave Vilwack taking full advantage of that smoother water, and he's trying to get his lead, but right behind him, just off to the right, is the Smoke and Joe's.
As we look down on Labatt's camera, you can see the lead the Pico American Dream has, and Dave Vilwack has come a long way from being Chip Hanauer's crew chief in the Circus Hotel Casino boat some years ago.
He certainly has, and he does know the boat inside and out. He can do work on the boat, whether it's the engine or whether it's the hull itself, as well as driving it. Another man who's very knowledgeable in boating is, of course, Mark Tate, and he's the man just on the outside. Mark is going the further course. Dave Vilwack knows that, so he's taking advantage of holding his lane. And incidentally, it's interesting that Vilwack is not cutting inside to lanes 1 or 2. He has the room to do it. The rule is they have to have 5 boat lanes between the boat and the boat you're cutting in front of. He has the 5 boat lanes, but he's not cutting in. He's staying to the outside as his owner, Fred Leland, watches from the sidelines.
As they come down the back chute once again, remember there's only 3 laps in the preliminary heats, and then when you get to the final, it's a 5 full lapper as we complete lap number 2 with Pico American Dream first, second is Smoke and Joe's, third is Miss Budweiser.
149 miles per hour for Dave Vilwack in the Pico American Dream. Jim, I think it's safe to say he's not fooling around with this at all. He's staying right on that pedal.
And he looks like he's riding pretty good. He's kind of loose at times, but that's the way he likes to run. As we look at our 4th place boat, DeWalt Tools with Mike Hansen out of Madison, Indiana, where we race the next race.
This boat, the Pico American Dream, Dave Vilwack, about 5 miles an hour faster than any other boat in the field on that last lap. 2nd place, Smoke and Joe's. 3rd place, just riding comfortably. That's a brand new boat, the Miss Budweiser. Again, looking down on the field, you can see the margin between the lead boat, the blue one, Pico American Dream, and there he goes across for the checkered flag. Dave Vilwack, winner of Heat 2A, Pico American Dream. He has been great all season.
And that'll make it 3 different winners and 3 different heats here on the Ohio River in Evansville, Indiana today as we look at our Fruit of the Loom scoreboard. Pico American Dream, Smoke and Joe's tied in points, the cumulative so far, Miss Budweiser, DeWalt Tools, Target Stores did not start.
We'll be back to Evansville, Indiana in a moment. It's Pontiac's Thunder on the Ohio, Evansville, Indiana. Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick and Steve Montgomery, who is down in the pits with Dave Vilwack.
So when all the fast guys get together, the inside is the place to be.
Yeah, it kind of looks that way, doesn't it? All the boats are real fast. Just, you know, actually we have a Pico engineer here that helped us in the dyno, and he got here Saturday, and you saw what the results are. Our qualifying times came up, and
and the boat speed's coming up too. So, but everybody else is fast too, so anybody can win.
Is it as simple as among the three of you, whoever has the inside is going to be tough to get around?
It's going to be water, lane conditions, stuff like that in the final. If anybody makes a hiccup, somebody else is going to be right on them because the boats are so close. So it's going to be exciting for the fans. Looking forward to it. Thanks to Progressive Tool. They put us here, having a good time. Hi, everybody.